I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. A new report about an ancient writing is causing a stir tonight, all about a wife and Jesus. A big hero is back in Brooklyn, and we go to Mass with our Olympic champion.
Incredible achievement. Give her a little gift, honor her, and bless her. So that's what we did at Mass this year.
And the magicians of the Hardcourt, the Harlem Globetrotters, will give us a show and a serious message.
Bullying is a big thing going on in schools this day and age, and we want to help prevent it.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. A tiny scrap of ancient papyrus, and the words written on it are causing a big stir right now. A Harvard Divinity School historian says the papyrus contains the phrase, quote, "Jesus said to them, my wife," end quote. The historian, Karen King, has pegged the date of the writing to the 4th century. She says many questions about the words remain unanswered. So, looking for answers, earlier today, I spoke with Bill Donahue of the Catholic League about what is now a growing controversy. Bill, we were just having a wonderful conversation ahead of the actual interview talking about this papyrus fragment from the 4th century, which contains a phrase, ever so brief, in which Jesus refers to, quote, my wife. Now, of course, a Harvard scholar is saying that this is the first evidence supporting the belief among early Christians that Jesus was married. And the operative word there for me is supporting that belief. Ahead of the findings, how prevalent was the belief that Jesus may have had a wife?
Well, you know, it's astonishing that this got to the front page of the New York Times. Of course, she showed it to the New York Times. She showed it to the Boston Globe, which is owned by the New York Times, and to Harvard Magazine, which is the magazine which covers her campus. That was convenient. Listen, we've been down this road before with this idea of the Jesus tomb. It's found out to be a hoax. If you're going to be serious, you have to have some serious evidence, particularly when you're going to challenge the conventional wisdom in any field. So now she says that we don't know anything about where this scrap of papyrus was discovered. We don't know about when it was discovered, where it was discovered. We're not going to release the name of the owner, and we know nothing about the context in which these two words, my wife, was written, because it's all cut off. So I'm at the point where I'm saying, listen, when you have the answers to these questions, which are preliminary questions, and other kinds of data, then perhaps we will pay attention. But upon doing a little scratching around, I found out that a lot of the people who are the experts in this field are at least dubious, if not just entirely skeptical of what's going on. And I've looked at her previous work. Her own work has been rejected by her German mentor, basically laughed at in the past. She's a divinity professor who questions the divinity of Jesus, which is, by the way, is not uncommon at the Ivy League schools. I did some research on this a few years ago. In fact, I concluded that the average auto mechanic would have a greater chance of believing in Jesus as the Son of God than the people who actually teach.
So, Bill, you're
Ivy League
saying
Divinity
that her past doesn't even give her enough credibility to make this work. And as you said, and as I was doing my research, the unclear origins of the document, which is what other scholars are saying, should encourage people to be cautious. But for the sake of this quote-unquote finding, let's bite. What would we do to authenticate this particular finding, this papyrus?
Well, I would leave that to the people who are the real experts. I know when I'm out of my league, I have a doctorate in sociology from NYU. This is not my area. But I'll tell you what we would do, and it's already started. We're going to give this over to the experts in her field, who then they can use the kind of standards of conventional empirical evidence that they use appropriate to their field. And I suspect that this will have a short shelf life. What I find astonishing is this. The entire wave in academia, not just at Harvard, is this whole idea of postmodernism, which means there's no such thing as truth. The deconstructionists have taken it even further, saying that no words have any literal meaning. There are people at Harvard who teach this all the time. You can't say, for example, that even though it says explicitly in the Old Testament that homosexual relations, a man lying with a man, that is a sin, there's no end to the people who are reconstructing that and deconstructing that, and they're coming to the conclusion that those words don't really mean what they mean. They do the same thing not only with the Bible, they do it with the Constitution of the United States, they do it with the Declaration of Independence. You can't go by what Jefferson said, etc. Now we have two words, my wife, and she says that those two terms are so clear they can mean nothing else. Well, this is astonishing that we now have this kind of truth serum coming from a Harvard professor, and her whole scholarship is based on this Gnostic interpretation of the gospel. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up.
But Bill, we do know that once these things come out, and the way social media is today, and the way media is as a whole, it does pique a curiosity, and all the questions start flying. And we also have people revisiting centuries-old debates about now whether Christians should marry and even have sex if it is indeed proven that Jesus had a wife. What can this do to completely deconstruct, if at all possible, what we know about Catholicism?
Well, it won't have any effect at all. The effect is limited to the university and to the carols of the library and the seminars and the workshops that they go to. Quite frankly, the average person in the pew won't even know about this. We care less about it. It'll affect nothing. And the more we know about her and her background and her pedigree of scholarship, the less effect it will have. Look, we know the game. The game is this. If you look at the Internet this morning on Yahoo, they said this raises questions about celibacy. That's the whole point. Lori Goodstein, in her front page New York Times article on the subject, she's only a couple of paragraphs into it, and she starts talking about Catholicism and celibacy and women priests. This is a woman who had written, I'm talking here about the author herself, King, Karen King, had written books before about how Mary Magdalene is an apostle. And we know where they're going with this. The whole idea is to try and find any historical revisionist idea which would give some credence to opening up the conversation to women priests. And I mean, it's really kind of tired.
And Bill, I probably know what your answer is to this, but I have to ask the question. In cases like this, in your past experience, at what point does the Holy See kind of offer an opinion or even remark upon a finding like this?
Well, they're never too quick off the starting blocks on anything, and on something like this, I think that they should just simply unleash some of the known scholars. So they say there are biblical scholars who are Catholic, who are Jewish, who are Protestant. I'm sure there are other religions, may not know religion. You're going to be hearing about them in waves, if for no other reason. Having spent 20 years in education, 16 as a college professor, I can tell you it's a three-letter word: ego. Nobody from the media ever calls these people who study the ancient text in dealing with the Bible. So now they pick up the newspaper, they find Karen King on the front page of the New York Times. They're wondering, with this thin evidence, no one bothers to consult anything that I've done, or how come nobody else found anything that would be at all supportive? It just came out of nowhere about this stuff. You haven't heard the end of it, and I think the people in our own field will be the sharpest ones to take this thing apart, never mind the Vatican.
All right, Bill, what can I say? Always such a pleasure to talk to you. You always put such really great perspective on these types of issues. Thank you so much for making time to talk to us today.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to the great work that all of you guys are doing there.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. And King says she's releasing the information now so that other scholars could weigh in and help answer the unanswered questions. There's more currents ahead. First, an anti-Islam film, now a cartoon, has Muslims in the Middle East up in arms. That story and the rest of the day's headlines coming up next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Liz Faublis. A new target now for the worldwide eruption of Muslim anger: cartoons. A French magazine is publishing caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad naked. And as a security precaution, the French government is closing 20 embassies across the Muslim world temporarily on Friday. One of the magazine's cartoonists is expressing surprise at the uproar.
There was a big fire of paranoia, French paranoia from the media that link us to put us into this, put us into the top of the news just right now. For the moment, it's just a big deal built by the media.
Meantime, the head of the Muslim Council in Paris is expressing anger.
Our reaction is indignation against this new Islamophobic act, which is the publication by Charlie Hebdo of cartoons insulting to the Prophet of Islam. It is also a firm condemnation of this new provocation.
The U.S. is also shutting a consulate in Indonesia temporarily for safety reasons, fearing more attacks there due to the anti-Muslim film that has been blamed for much of the week-long global violence. Well, the final weeks of the race for U.S. president may find Catholics holding the key to victory. Catholics make up about a quarter of the electorate. Usually the winner of the Catholic vote wins the election. The Catholic Research Center at Georgetown University says polls show the Catholic vote to be too close to call right now. The Research Center has compiled an analysis that finds President Obama with 47% of the Catholic vote and Governor Romney with 45%. New accusations are being made regarding sex abuse in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. A woman and 8 men are filing lawsuits accusing the church of covering up the abuse. The plaintiffs say they found the courage to sue following the conviction of Monsignor William Lynn, the former Secretary of Clergy for the Philadelphia Archdiocese, for his role in other sex abuse cover-ups. Meantime, Monsignor Lynn's lawyers are attacking that conviction. They say prosecutors convinced a key witness, a former priest, himself guilty of sex abuse, to lie at the trial. An appeal is underway. And the Archdiocese has sold another property to close its budget gap, a retirement home for priests at the South Jersey Shore. The price, $4.5 million. In Colorado, backlash at one high school after a student's rosary beads are confiscated. The 16-year-old tells reporter Tammy Vigil that the school has not explained its decision.
They tell me that I can't wear them.
Manuel Vigil wears rosary beads to protect himself from harm, but his school district thinks the religious necklace could harm students.
A prayer for each one.
So twice in 3 weeks, they confiscated his rosary beads.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
The district says they can be affiliated with gangs and disrupt learning. Are you in a gang?
No, I'm not in a gang.
You're a good student.
Yeah, I'm a good student.
The 16-year-old says he and his family are strong Catholics.
I use them for prayer. I feel safe when I have them on.
The district says it gave the junior options before seizing the beads.
We've given you 2 opportunities to take it off or to put it inside your shirt, and that's not something that you're interested in doing, then you don't leave us an alternative but to remove it.
Vigil says he only got a demand.
If he would have gave me that option, I would have put it in my shirt.
Vigil's classmates agree putting a bad label on a good symbol is wrong.
If it's religious reasons, then you should be allowed to wear it, because I think we have religious tolerance in this country.
They can say anything they want is disruptive. Just because they say it doesn't mean it's true.
Vigil says how ironic he's getting in trouble for being a good and faithful person.
And I could see if I was out doing gang activity, but I've never been in trouble with the law. I've never been in trouble at school.
And I should mention that the school has yet to return the rosary beads. At the Vatican, Pope Benedict used the occasion of his weekly general audience to reflect upon his pilgrimage of peace to Lebanon.
I was able to speak from the heart, to stand before the sufferings and the dramatic events in the Middle East, and to express my prayerful encouragement for the legitimate aspirations for peace there. I was deeply moved by the faith of the local church, and I asked the faithful to keep their gaze fixed on Christ crucified, then finding the strength amid trying circumstances to celebrate the victory of love over hate, of forgiveness over revenge, and of unity over division.
And the Pope also thanked the Muslim community for the warm welcome they extended to him. A relic from the 17th century is now on a pilgrimage, and as we learned from Rome Reports, the relic of St. Francis Xavier is being honored in a nation where he is patron.
The Jesuit Church is the mother church of Jesuits in Rome. It's known for housing the tomb of their founder, St. Ignatius. But since 1641, it's also known for having the right arm of St. Francis Xavier. And now the relic has temporarily left Rome. For 2.5 months, the arm of the missionary saint will take part in a pilgrimage through Australia.
My hope is simply that those who come to encounter the relic of St. Francis Xavier will, through his intercession, encounter Christ in their lives.
This Mass marked the temporary departure of the relic. St. Francis Xavier is known as one of the greatest missionaries of the 16th century who ventured far east. Along with St. Therese of Lisieux, he is the co-patron saint of Australia.
In a sense, he's a saint for our part of the world, not a part of Europe or North America, but for our southern and eastern part of the world. And so it's important for that reason that he's coming.
I think it will have great fascination for people in Australia who have a good understanding of St. Francis Xavier and the work that he did.
The Jesuits agreed to lend it to Australia as part of the Year of Grace, which was launched in that country. So for about 2 to 3 days, the relic will be taken to each Australian diocese so parishioners can learn more about the life of St. Francis Xavier.
It'll be all worthwhile if even just one person is touched in their own lives to come closer to Christ. It'll be worth the effort.
The relic will be taken across the country. On December 3rd, it will make its way back to Sydney, where the feast day of St. Francis Xavier will be celebrated. On December 4th, the relic will return to Rome.
Jews all over the world are celebrating Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. On Long Island, an assist came from a Catholic church. The Jewish center of Island Park was flooded when a water pipe burst. The synagogue leaders turned to their neighbors at the Sacred Heart Church for help. But Sacred Heart's hall was in disarray after celebrating the Feast of San Gennaro. Well, quickly, the members of both congregations and local firefighters got to work, prepared the hall, and the services were conducted without a hitch. All agreed the effort showed how much two faiths working together can accomplish. Indeed, a Happy New Year. More currents after the break. Stay tuned. Olympic champion Leah Neal swam with the best in London. Now she's home in Brooklyn talking about success and faith. Next.
I'm just really thankful to have that divine intervention, I guess, to get me to where I am.
Welcome back. I'm Liz Faublas. Leah Neal is an Olympic champion, a bronze medal swimmer at the recently completed London Games. She's back with us in Brooklyn now and received a rousing welcome home at her parish.
We're at St. Saviour Parish in Park Slope, and we're celebrating the awesome achievement of Leah Neal, winning a bronze medal at this summer's Olympics in London. We ask your blessings in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you. So we wanted to recognize that incredible achievement, give her a little gift, honor her, and bless her. So that's what we did at Mass this morning.
It was just an experience that I will never forget. It was definitely an honor to represent the USA, and it was a lot of fun.
I'm just really thankful to have that divine intervention, I guess, to get me to where I am, because there's so many people that I know who have the same goals and dreams that I do, but unfortunately aren't fortunate enough to get to where I am. So I always keep that in mind, so I'm really thankful.
In this time of turmoil and darkness in the world, there's always a spark of light, and I'm so blessed that Leah has brought that spark of light back to Brooklyn, back to her borough where she was born, and back to the city and to the United States along with the other Olympians.
Congratulations so much. Right here, you go that side.
It was really nice to see all the smiling faces and them blessing me, and it was just a really nice sense of community and just how much support I'm getting from even people that I've never met before.
You know, you watch Olympians on TV, but to see one, to meet one in person, it's good for the children to realize that they can maybe one day, if they strive for something and work hard, that it's something that's attainable.
It's inspiring because not very many people get to be Olympians, so to see somebody get to be one is really cool.
I think this is a really special community, and I think it gives testimony to the kinds of people that are here and the lessons that we can learn and the diversity and the strength of the people that live in the community.
What Leah told us this morning is how hard and how long she worked and practiced to win that medal. It doesn't come automatically. And we wanted to have all our people, especially our young people, but all adults as well, to know that if you put your mind and heart to something, with the grace and help of God, that you can achieve your goal and you can reach that for which you're striving.
And stay tuned for more Currents after the break. The Harlem Globetrotters have come to Brooklyn with their fun brand of basketball, but star player Buckets Blakes also has a strong message for bullies. We'll have that next.
It's very important for me as a Harlem Globetrotter to spread this anti-bullying message. Not only are we the ambassadors of goodwill, but we also feel like we have some sort of influence over the kids, you know, in a positive manner.
Finally tonight, basketball's Harlem Globetrotters are world famous, and Anthony Buckets Blakes is one of the team's stars. When he came to Bishop Ford High School on Tuesday, we learned he has some new teammates, a team getting together to beat the bullies.
My name is Anthony Blakes, but my teammates call me Buckets because I can score a lot of baskets in a hurry. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and this is my 11th season with the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters. We've teamed up with the national campaign to stop violence, and we put the ABCs of bullying together, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, because bullying is a big thing going on in schools this day and age, and we want to help prevent it. I've been bullied before, and I just walk away. I was always that happy, smiling kid at school, so, you know, the bully that we had at our school, he didn't like me very much, because I was always laughing, and that's the thing that bullies want to do. They want to take the power of your happiness away from you. Bullying was something that was cited in over 60,000 essays written by middle school kids. One of the most frequent, you know, causes of violence in those particular kids' lives. Well, the approach that I take with the clapping and the ball handling is just to get the kids involved, you know, keep them, you know, focused. They get the opportunity to do a little ball handling with a Globetrotter, which I think that they think is cool. Toss it up off the head. Yeah. Around the back, under the leg, put it on the ground, shake it to the left, shake it to the right, shake it in, shake it out, lift it up. All right, spread out. We get a positive feedback from the parents and teachers. Sometimes kids are frowned upon when they are so-called tattletales and things of that nature, but these kids realize that it's such a big problem after I finish talking to them that now they open up and they're ready to share some things, because it's not about being a tattletale, it's about potentially saving someone from harm.
The ABCs are action, bravery, and courage. When they're bullied, they're usually like really upset or crying and don't really know what to do. They feel like, you know, people don't like them or something. But, you know, I just let them know that it's okay and that, you know, I'm there for them. And if I do see it happening and I happen to be there, I'll stand up for them and tell them that that's not right.
They should definitely tell an adult, or they should seek help from somebody else.
The Globetrotters are just wonderful and very dynamic. They had a wonderful presentation here today. There's so much bullying that goes on in the elementary schools, and it goes on to high school and even into adulthood, unfortunately. To actually have a Globetrotter reinforce the message that they're getting in school and with the parents is so much more significant than anything that the parents can do.
It's very important for me as a Harlem Globetrotter to spread this anti-bullying message. Not only are we the ambassadors of goodwill, but we also feel like we have some sort of influence over the kids, you know, in a positive manner. They love what we do with the basketball on the court, but they get a chance to see us and be a little bit more intimate with us off the court when we come to their schools and talk about the ABCs of bullying.
And to read more about Buckets Blakes, be sure to pick up a copy of this week's issue of The Tablet. And if you want to see the Globetrotters in person, they'll be at Brooklyn's new Barclays Center on Sunday, October 7th. That's all for tonight. Be sure to join us on Thursday for our latest School of the Week. This time, we travel to South Ozone Park in Queens. That and much more Thursday night. Until then, visit us online at currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faublas. We leave you tonight with more from Buckets Blakes. Thank you for watching and have a good night.